Hey marketers, thanks for joining Marketing Mob Talks. My name is Annelle Barnett and I'm excited to host you and these three fabulous presenters today. Here at Marketing Mob, we connect marketing leaders with qualified hand-selected marketing talent. We also connect the marketing community with careers, education, and collaboration. It is in this spirit that we created Marketing Mob Talks. A few things to go over before we get started. Marketing Mob Talks takes place on the second Tuesday of every month. Our next presentation will be on April 10th at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. We record all sessions, so if you're unable to attend one month, simply register and we'll send you the recording. In order to be respectful of your time, we are not going to open it up for Q&A today. However, each of the presenters has included their contact information at the end of their slides, so you can reach out to them directly, or you can email me at abarnett@marketing-mob.com. Last month, if you were on the webinar, we launched the new Marketing Mob community. In this community, we have set it up so that you can find exciting careers, grow your marketing skills, and collaborate with peers. Since it requires login, I thought it might be helpful to provide a preview of what's inside the Marketing Mob. This is a screenshot of the members panel. Here you can search for jobs, track your job applications, bookmark jobs that you're interested in, and set up alerts to be notified about jobs as they come available. However, the mob is not just for those who are seeking new careers. We have other great things to offer marketers, including a personality assessment test to better understand your natural behaviors and what role might be the best fit for you. You can collaborate with peers and share experiences in the Marketing Mob Slack channel. And we've also added educational content to help you expand your skills. We'll be adding more new features as time goes on, so be sure to sign up. Membership is free. Actually, basic membership is free. You can find out more and join at marketing-mob.com/join. So now on to the presentations. Our first presenter is Ann Herold. As some of you may have seen in the promotional materials, just last week, Ann received the Lifetime Achievement Award by the American Marketing Association in Atlanta. Ann is a purpose-driven executive who brings 25 years of marketing experience. She is currently serving as the Chief Marketing Officer for the HoneyBaked Ham Co. Her talk today is on leading with love. At this point, I'll turn the controls over to Ann. I hope you enjoyed today's session of Marketing Mob Talks.
Thank you so much, Annelle. And I just got a text from Joe Kaufman, who said this is an awesome group, the best. So thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I had the great opportunity to meet Annelle last week at the AMA. What I want to talk to you about is leading with love, and I'll talk about the L word quite a bit. And for those who were at the Amy's last week, some of this will sound a little familiar, but I'm excited to share it with you. I love AMA, love Atlanta, and love marketing, and I'm not able to switch to the next slide.
Click on the
screen. Okay. There we go. Now I'm really going. Let's see. Hold on. Sorry, guys. There. You got me back. What I want to talk to you about is my philosophies and what I've learned as being a marketer and somebody who loves marketing, loves my power posse and the people that I consider my giants. And the first is around driving passion. And I started my career way back when as a frontline associate at McDonald's, where I gave the birthday parties and wore the Hamburglar costume and really got to learn a lot about marketing and serving consumers at McDonald's. And that actually fueled a great passion for marketing and working in the franchise business and working with iconic brands. And a footnote to the work at McDonald's is when I went back about a decade later to get my MBA. I had the great opportunity to write about how McDonald's entered China and got to meet some of the executives in Hong Kong from McDonald's. And so all of that fueled just a great love of service and working in food. From there, I was able to go and work at Arby's and head up brand, and also go and come back to HoneyBaked Ham, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. But what I do want to say is it's so important to do what you love and love what you do and do it with the people you love. And I was lucky along the way to have some pretty amazing mentors, and I want to share some of the things that I've learned from these mentors. One being when I was at Mississippi State, I got the great opportunity to be an orientation leader and work with a great mentor. His name is Dr. Jimmy Abraham. And he had all these Jimmy-isms that we captured as orientation leaders, and I've kept them with me and wanted to share them with you. And the first is a yes means yes. Actions speak louder than words. Be a role model. Be a team player. Be not afraid. Being nice and kind are perfectly acceptable behaviors. Celebrate differences. Do things on time. Do what you say you're going to do. Do your best. Don't be afraid to dream big. Dreams really do come true. Don't complain. Don't let anyone intimidate you. Don't take things for granted. Don't wait for friends to leave this earth before you give them a standing ovation. Evaluate yourself. Every day begins with the new year. Failure is not fatal. Success is not final. Give thanks for all you have. Go the extra mile. Have confidence in yourself. Have fun. It's no big deal. Just as you're watching others right back at you, keep things in perspective and lead with love. And I love these lessons from Jimmy. And like I said, I keep them with me every day. And I thank him for sharing them with us. I always, in my marketing job, try to figure out what I can do to drive purpose. And anybody who's on this webinar or who has the opportunity to be a part of the marketing community is lucky and fortunate and has the power to do good work. And one area where I was able to do that in my career was when I was at Arby's. I was VP of brand, but also had the great opportunity to help rebrand the Arby's Foundation. And through that effort and through the work of many at Arby's and through Kate Atwood and Kayla Modelmog, we've been able, and Arby's has been able to raise over $45 million to end childhood hunger. And so I think as marketers and professionals, we all have the opportunity to do great work and to do what we do and do it with love. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is giving the world what it needs. And an example of that is a company that I worked with prior to HoneyBaked, and that's Interface. And Interface is an amazing company. It's based here in Atlanta, and it's a global flooring manufacturer. And the founder, Ray Anderson, started on a purpose around sustainability. And he did so before sustainability wasn't even a term. And so the company really, through its purpose and its mission and its values, gave the world what it needs. And so as marketers, there's so many needs around the globe and so many ways that we can help. And so that's another one of my philosophies, is giving the world what it needs. Doing so with purpose. And I always do what I love and, again, try to deliver purpose. And that's why I mentioned that I I'm at CMO at HoneyBaked. I've been at HoneyBaked for about a year. I left HoneyBaked for 8 years and went to Arby's and then Interface, but I was with HoneyBaked for 16 years prior to that, and 8 years to the day that I left is the day that I came back. And it's the reason I came back is really to drive the purpose, to help the brand transform and continue to grow the brand. And so HoneyBaked is on a mission, again, to do great in the world, and we're articulating our sustainability mission and how we give back to the world. So super excited about that. And I think it's so important to do it with the people you love, and whether that's your family, your power posse, and the people that give you the strength and the love that you need. And so for me, it really is about my family. It is about Atlanta. I do love the AMA, and I'm so grateful that I got to meet Anel through that, and so many others through the amazing marketing community that we have. And so those are my philosophies. And what I wanted to do next is share a little video that I put together around these philosophies, and wanted to share it with you for the first time. And let's keep our fingers crossed that it works. So with that, this is the Venn diagram, and then I'll share the video. And thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. And Anel, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Joanne. If you have any questions for Joanne, you can reach out to her directly via the contact information on the screen, or you can email me at abarnett@marketing-mob.com. So our next presenter is Logan Young. Logan is the co-founder of BlitzMetrics, where he runs the company's training programs while implementing ad campaigns and optimizing marketing funnels for key accounts. He is an internationally recognized keynote speaker, having lectured in 45 cities and 15 countries across 5 continents. He's also written a book, The Standards of Excellence on Facebook Benchmarks. His talk to date is on what marketers need to know about the Facebook algorithm changes. So I will turn it over to Logan.
Awesome, thanks Anel. So instead of doing PowerPoint, I'm gonna actually run from the browser. So I'm gonna go and share my screen, and let me know, Anel, if you guys are able to see it, and then we'll be good to go. All right, are you guys able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so the problem with Facebook is that increasingly so, as 2018 now, me and my business partner Dennis, we do a lot of speaking, and every conference we go to, we ask who's doing Facebook ads. More and more hands are going up. People are on this platform, so there's a lot more competition. So we've heard a lot of complaining of people saying, well, I'm not getting any reach anymore. I used to get a lot of organic reach and paid reach, but now my CPMs have gone up. It costs more to get the traffic. So we know that the point of advertising is reach, right? You have to get the message out there in front of the masses, and then whether or not it converts is up to the content, right? Content is king. Hopefully your content's good. It gets them to click to the website. But before we even get there, it comes to reach. So rather than getting angry at Facebook or Mark Zuckerberg or the platform or the algorithm, we believe in understanding how the algorithm works and working with it. And Facebook recently made a change to the algorithm. It's changing all the time. But the big thing you need to be aware of is that what they're looking for is they want to give the users a good user experience, because Facebook has 2 balls they're trying to balance or juggle, right? On one hand, they have advertisers. On the other hand, they have users, and they have to keep both happy. Because if they drive the cost of traffic up too much, the advertisers will leave. But if they put too many spammy content out there, the users will leave, right? So they're looking for that perfect balance where they want to give the users a good experience. And it comes down to engagement. So most posts on an average page will get 2 to 3% organic reach from their following. Meaning if my page has a following of 100,000 people, I expect my organic reach on average is only going to be 2,000 to 3,000. But if you can get something higher than that, if you can get 10 to 30% organic reach from your following, that post is doing pretty well. Is Facebook giving you a signal that something about it is working? So I have 4,000 followers on my page. Here's a post I put out a while ago in January. You can see it got almost 12,000 organic reach. So almost 300 times my page. And the reason is because of this engagement, right? So people engage in 3 primary ways. They can like, comment, or share. And then they can also click on it, so if they click see more, or if they're clicking around these different photos, that all adds up. And these are weighed differently to the algorithm. So they're not equal. So if a like is worth 1 point, we know that a comment is worth 6 and a share is worth 13. And think about why that might be the case, right? Let's say someone likes something. So let's say I publish something, and let's say me and Anel are really good friends. So she sees that I published something, or rather, let's even say Anel published it, and I click like, but not really because I like the content. Anel's just my friend, so anytime she puts something out there, I click like on it. Well, if I comment on it, it's a little bit stronger indication that I probably read whatever she put out there and that I have something to contribute to it. And then if I share it, that's even like the strongest. That's basically me endorsing it, saying, you know what, Anel, I couldn't have said it any better myself, so rather than trying to, I'm just going to share it directly, right? So Facebook recognizes that a lot of people like things just because they like the person, not necessarily the content. But if you comment on something or you share something, it's a lot stronger signal to Facebook that that's probably good content. So again, that's why there's different signals here. So like is worth 1, a comment is worth 6, and a share is worth 13. So what does this mean for you as a publisher, whether you're a brand or a freelancer, a solopreneur, entrepreneur, whatever it is, you're putting content out there, you want to try and focus on content that encourages people to engage with it. And avoid what we all know what clickbait is. Now people are talking about engagement bait, where they'll say share now or comment below. Like that's one way to do it, but that's a really lame way. The content should be engaging just in and of itself being good. So it might be asking a question or not provoking controversy, but something that kind of gets people's attention a little bit, not just something really bland. So you want to do a lot of tests, and when you find something that gets good engagement, it's probably going to get good reach. So I'm working from my page right now. I'm on Insights, and I can sort by engagement rate, and I can see that these different posts have got different amounts of engagement. So I can see that this one that got this great reach, it got an 18% engagement rate. So that's why I got so much reach, right? Engagement isn't always tied to it, but more often than not, the more engagement, and especially the rate of the engagement, if I can get an engagement rate of 10 plus, the more likely I am to get more reach, because Facebook recognizes that people are engaging with this, therefore must be good. So those are the things you should be paying attention to. There's one thing that you absolutely need to avoid to work with the algorithm. Facebook, again, they want to give the user base a good experience, and their platform is very much self-regulating, meaning that it's not as if every time someone publishes something, someone at Facebook's reviewing it. They're letting the reach be determined based off how the users interact. So if the users engage, if they like the content, Facebook shows it more. If they don't, they show it less. And people can put negative feedback on content. So negative feedback is not when someone puts the angry face. It's not if someone comments and says, oh, this is so stupid, why do you post it? That's not negative feedback. There are 4 types of negative feedback. People can hide the posts. They can hide all posts. They can report it as spam, or they can unlike the page. And Facebook's engineers told us in June, we were in Menlo Park at Facebook's headquarters. They said that 1 piece of negative feedback counts against you from a scale of 100 to 1. So if I just get 1 piece of negative feedback, in order to outweigh that and still get more reach, I need 100 positive pieces. So in this particular example, I can see I have 2 pieces of negative feedback. So in order to counterbalance that, so that the weighting works in my favor and I'm working with the algorithm and it'll show my post to more people, I need 200 pieces of positive. So of course, when I add up my reactions, comments, and shares, I have 400 here, plus all these post clicks, I'm well north of that, right? But negative feedback is the #1 killer of people's reach. So if you feel like your content's not getting a lot of reach, it's 1 of 2 reasons. 1, it's not encouraging any engagement, or 2, it's getting negative feedback. And those are the 2 things you need to diagnose first. And then you can start getting reach more, both organically and paid, so you're working with the algorithm instead of against it. And there's one other thing I wanted to talk about. This is a little bit more sophisticated, but really it's not too much. So Facebook's most recent change, they said, they're gonna remove posts from page in the newsfeed. Basically, when someone logs on, Facebook wants a user to see content from their inner circle, their family and friends, but their inner circle could also be a brand. So how is an inner circle determined? You know, how does Facebook know who to show the content to? You know, when I log on to my Facebook, if I come over here and go fb.com, it goes to Facebook. How do they know which content to put first on my feed? So it comes from something called EdgeRank, right? And it's actually pretty simple. So I'm going to use some shapes. So let's say this first shape is you as the publisher, and then you publish a piece of content. And when you publish it, you know, people can interact with it. So maybe it's a video that I published. And again, let's say Net's publisher. So this is Annette. She publishes a video. There's a connection between her and the content because she's the publisher. But then I come in as a user and I comment on her video. Well, now there's a connection between me and that piece of content as well as me as Annette. You know, so there's connections that have been made because I connected with their content. So there's a bridge there, a gap that's been bridged. And the more this happens, you know, let's say Annette posts a lot. And let me see if I can get some letters here to make it a little easier for you guys. So this is Annette. I'll just put ANN so you guys can see it. Oh, that's content. Oh, well, it's not working like I want, but you guys get the point. So Annette's publishing content, and let's say she puts all these different pieces of content out there. So maybe Annette, you have now 1, 2, 3, 4 different pieces of content, and every one of them is just killer. So every one of them I either like, comment, or share on. Well, that's all coming back to me and strengthening our connection together for each of these pieces of content. So it's creating what we call EdgeRank between us as two users. So when I log onto my Facebook, they're going to show me the content from the users I have the most EdgeRank with. So here's Michael Stelzner. I like a lot of his posts. So anytime he posts something, it shows up early and often on my Facebook feed. So by producing content that gets engagement, you're encouraging people to produce this rapport with you or this EdgeRank, so that in the future, when you publish more content, Facebook's going to say, you know what, these certain people liked it in the past, I'm going to show it to them first. So you're building yourself a foundation of a user base that likes your content, and that's how over time you can increase your organic reach by developing this rapport or these edges with people. I know that might be, hopefully I didn't lose anyone there, but that's a fancy way of saying, you know, bottom line takeaway is make content that encourages people to engage with it, and then Facebook will continue to show your content in the future to those people, and you'll get more organic reach, you'll get more visibility, and especially when you do paid, it'll be the same. You'll get cheaper CPMs, and that's how you can start to work with the algorithm instead of working against it. Instead of complaining about how your reach is dead, you know, just recognize if something's low engagement, high negative feedback, then of course it's bad reach. And we need to see what content's working, what content's not working, so we can, as marketers, be smarter, or as publishers, about producing stuff that we know is going to be successful. And I'll flip it back over to you now.
All right. I believe you have to give me back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so anyone that wants to access to, or the best place to follow me is on my page. That's where I post about marketing stuff. And then if you have any questions, you can just email me, Logan@BlitzMetrics.com. Yeah, there you go. Okay, perfect.
All right, awesome. So as he just mentioned, here's his contact information, so you can reach out to him directly, or you can email me. Thanks a bunch, Logan. All right. Our next presenter is Celena Evans. Celena has 20 years experience in engineering, marketing, product, and project management roles in small divisions of several well-known corporations, including Kimberly-Clark, Genuine Parts, and Lennox International. During her corporate tenure, she realized that she has tremendous passion for working in a consultative manner with businesses to solve unique problems, optimize processes, and bring new opportunities to fruition. To build on that passion, she started Meliora Consulting in 2017, and her talk today is on act like a marketer and think like an engineer. So I'm going to turn the controls over to Celena.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for listening in today. All right. I'm sure you're eager to know the story behind the title of my talk, Act Like a Marketer, Think Like an Engineer. The talk is inspired by comedian Steve Harvey's best-selling book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. If any of you have seen that or read the book or happen to track Steve Harvey on TV. The movie features 4 women who seem to have it all, but can't succeed in one area of their lives, and that's their relationships with men. You might be thinking, well, what does this book have to do with marketing? The answer is it actually has a lot to do with marketing, and I'll tell you why. Have you ever felt as a marketer that you could not succeed in your relationship with a key stakeholder? I know for me, over the course of my career, the stakeholder that my teams often had difficulty with, but we had to work most closely with, was engineering. There's many articles on the web. I had fun looking at some of them about the conflict between engineering and marketing. My experience in B2B product-focused companies is that engineering is more often viewed as in charge than marketing is. In those companies, marketing is sometimes viewed as an afterthought, and marketers often didn't have a seat at the business table. I remember one environment I was in, we sat in the second tier against the wall. I still cringe when I think of situations where essentially all decisions have been made and then a stakeholder comes into a marketing person and asks, can you help us make this pretty? This disconnect results in various forms of tension and oftentimes a sentiment of good versus evil, hence the 2 ducks that I have in this image here. And having a little trouble navigating here. We as marketers are very proud of our work and the magic we make happen through creativity and critical thinking. But oftentimes engineers see our work as just that, magic, or more plainly, fluff. They don't believe there's any substance behind our work because they typically don't see all that goes into it. One example that I recently experienced is I asked a friend for input on a tagline that I had pondering for a few days. The response I got was, I question your talent as a marketer if you can't come up with a simple tagline. So I asked that friend, do you really think that marketers simply go into a room and brainstorm for 30 minutes to come up with this stuff? I didn't get an answer, but the silence indicated that his answer was yes. That really led me to believe and reminded me of the fact that we need to get engineers and the rest of business leaderships on board with the value of the magic that marketing brings. So let's talk about how we can begin to make that happen. Companies typically employ one of 3 strategies. You probably all know this. It's either customer-focused, operational excellence, or product leadership. In a company focused on product leadership, the organization strives for product differentiation in order to have the best products, a breadth of products, widespread availability, and speed to market. When you think about those words I just mentioned, innovation, product differentiation, it becomes apparent how a product-focused company could really lean on engineering to take a leadership position in the organization instead of marketing. But we as marketers know that product leadership requires marketing leadership. That's what marketing is all about. Marketing is such a rich function, and there is a place in marketing for analysis and creativity. More than a decade ago, I came across the book, A Class with Drucker. It was written by Peter Drucker, who many consider to be the world's greatest thinker on management. In that book, one statement stood out in my mind and made a lasting impression that solidified what I really believed during my experience as a marketer. And he said, the aim of marketing is to know and understand the customer so well that the product or service fits him and sells itself. So the challenge is how to get engineering, as well as other business leaders, to see that value in marketing. One interesting fact about me, which Anel alluded to or mentioned in my introduction, is that I started my career as an engineer. And then after going to business school, I transitioned into marketing. So I'm able to understand both perspectives and the needs of both engineers and marketers. My first marketing role was with a company that produced some of the world's top business-to-consumer brands. It was actually Kimberly-Clark. I was fortunate to have worked at this company because it gave me great perspective on what marketing should be. In that particular company, marketing was at the center of everything, and it was clear who was in charge, and that was marketing. By in charge, I mean that The most successful companies position marketing at the center of it all, just like the bullseye you see on the screen. A marketer's job is at the core to strike a balance between understanding the customer needs, the company capabilities, and understanding the competitive environment. After leaving Kimberly-Clark, my challenge was, how could I replicate this high regard for marketing in these B2B product-focused companies that I found myself in? So as I progressed in my marketing leadership roles, I decided to actively work to change the perception of marketing in the organizations where I work. And by considering how to think like an engineer, something that I used to be, I realized that we as marketers can make what appears like magic make sense to them. We can gain their buy-in and earn our seat at the table. When we think about what we as marketers can do to get engineers and the rest of business leadership on board with the value that we bring, the answer is we need to think like engineers. Let me break it down for you a little bit more. Engineers are often viewed as thinking in black and white. What they want is very simple. What they need from us is, number one, data. Number two, logic. Number three, they need to see plans. Number four, they love to test. And number five, they need metrics. If we can provide these things to engineers, we can establish successful working relationships and increase credibility for marketing, earning our seat at the business table. Oh, jumped ahead there. Now let's talk about a little bit more about what it's like to think like an engineer. First, we have to acknowledge that engineers are trained to think logically. There is a generally accepted engineering process, and that process begins with identifying a problem or a need. Engineering is about creating a system that fulfills certain requirements. So the most important question an engineer must know is, what are the requirements? After they define the requirements and constraints, then they brainstorm, then they evaluate solutions, they design and build, evaluate and test prototypes, and finally, one thing that engineers are really good at is documenting the results and then communicating. People who aren't engineers tend to jump to thinking about solutions before they have clearly defined the requirements, and this causes them to forget or miss things that the system needs to do. Many of the talented marketers I have worked with realistically don't fall into that category of jumping into solutions. And in fact, you're probably seeing many parallels between the engineering process and a marketing process. The problem that I found is that marketers often don't communicate the work we do along the way to getting our results in as structured a manner that would resonate with engineers or some other business leaders. If we don't engage and communicate with engineers throughout the process, they will think we jump to solutions, which is why they may think that we wave a magic wand to get results. When you compare the engineering process, oops, the slides keep moving forward, to a marketing process, you can easily see there's many similarities in how each of our groups operate and think. Just like engineers, marketers seek and leverage data to make decisions. We regularly seek to understand market problems through various surveys, focus groups, customer satisfaction scores, depth interviews, and on and on and on. We regularly analyze sales reports for trends, and we readily track key industry indicators and dissect industry reports. We also utilize logic to define product or campaign requirements, and all of those requirements are rooted in understanding of customer needs. If a customer values on-time delivery, then we'll be sure to incorporate that into our future product developments, or we'll tout that in our marketing materials and campaigns. Next is that marketers are excellent planners. There are many moving parts to making our magic happen. For example, when launching a campaign, there are many components that have to happen in sequence, and some happen at the same time. There are outputs from activities that may serve as critical inputs to another. Sometimes these inputs determine timing for moving on to the next step or even result in a go, no-go decision. Marketers test our concepts against any and all of the 4 Ps, and we use more market research techniques throughout the process. We do test marketing, we seek input from our sales teams, and we use various analytical tools to predict outcomes from our efforts before launching a product or campaign. And finally, we have all kinds of metrics that we use to track results. At the end of the day, the challenge is that we simply need to communicate all of these things to engineers. We need to regularly engage them at key points along the way. For example, invite them to sit in on our focus groups, share our marketing plans, provide regular reports and progress on our marketing efforts. And in particular, in a B2B product environment, sometimes we need to simply de-emphasize the beauty or the creativity of our work and really just focus in on the numbers, which is what really gets their attention. If you think of the saying, show me the money, that's what engineers want. They want us to show them the data. And engineers and other business leaders, our GMs, our finance leaders, our operations leaders, believe what they can see and measure. Data, logic, plans, tests, and metrics are what will win them over time and time again. When we apply these principles, act like a marketer, think like an engineer, we will quickly gain allies among engineers and other business leaders. We will become part of their team, special, and stand out as marketers. Most importantly, we will succeed in earning our special position at the center of it all, and our seat at the table in product-focused environments. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Celena.
I'm going to turn it back over to Anel now.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. That was great. It's nice to hear ways of earning your seat at the table for sure, as I know it's always a challenge for marketers. It's getting better, of course, but it's still a challenge. So here's Celena's contact information. Feel free to reach out to her with any questions that you might have. So I want to thank our three presenters, and thanks to each of you for attending today. I hope the talks were informative and that you have some valuable takeaways. As previously mentioned, our next talks will take place on Tuesday, April 10th at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. We're still lining up next month's presenters, so we'll email that information out to you as it becomes available. We really appreciate your time and attention today and look forward to hosting you in the future. This concludes today's session of Marketing Mob Talks. Thanks a bunch.